Hey guys, it's Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Virche Epic Lycoris. And last time we finished all of Adolphe's stuff. Didn't really take very long, so we had a nice little ramble about the books and things. So fun time, story time with Grandma. Anyway, we are going to start the tradition drifter route. So I got that highlighted over here. Boop. Begin the selected start. Wait, I have it highlighted, right? Yes, okay, because we can't do Onco until this is done. So, yes, before we do that, though, I'm going to read all the information that I have because I don't know if this one's going to have sound right off the bat like the other ones do. This can be played anytime. There's no bad ends, so I'm assuming there's no choice. Well, there's choices, I'm guessing, but there's no branching, or there's just no bad ends. I don't know. You'll need to clear this to unlock Onco, and then, okay, so that's basically all we need to know. But I'll be ready to crank the volume in case there's actual sound. Okay, there's not. This is a story of a certain drifter. He traveled from place to place. He lost many and finally arrived. Arrived at the end of a never-ending friendship marked by the Higambana. I'm going to read this normal because I'm not sure. I doubt we're supposed to be us in this, right? Because the drifter came here fucking forever ago, and the only person that would be around would be Onko. That the drifter would know. So are we supposed to be the drifter? For as long as I could remember, I was always searching for and examining the unknown. Why is this flower blooming with blue petals? Maybe there's a secret element to it. Botany. Yeah, okay, I feel like we're the drifter. How are humans able to manipulate language and obtain advanced intelligence? Maybe some past record can figure this out. Biology. So this is the language from the outside world. Sounds so alluring. I do hope I can speak it one day. Linguistics. I researched anything that caught my attention. Yes, I may not be a genius that could change the world, but I did believe that I studied enough to have what it... I do believe that I studied enough to have what it took to explain the knowledge I did gain. In particular, I was very interested in the countries and cultures that existed outside of this island. Well, this is interesting. Because those are the things that he's mentioning, right? And that's the books that he brings to them. But then he says this island, and it's like, but this island is in a different island? I'm going to guess, because Japan's technically an island, so I think we're supposed to infer that the drifter was Japanese, because they always make, like, you know what I mean? They can't, like, or, you know, Eastern culture, so some type of, like, East Asian culture. You know what I mean? That's what I think we're supposed to imply, especially with Eve coming back with basically sake. You know what I mean? Like, and Arpachel is like, something else, question mark. Bunch of crazy fucking white people. Makes sense. Something like that? I don't know. Before long, I was focusing my attention on a book about Western culture. Well, Arpachel's not the best example of that, but maybe it is. Western culture. Much early knowledge of Europe's customs, beliefs, and technology were introduced to Japan via Dutch traders from the Netherlands. Okay, so then it's straight up Japan. And Arpachel's just I just figured since Arpachel's not a real motherfucking place, that all the other countries and places were going to be kind of made up and just, you know, it's like it's supposed to be Japan, but it's not really Japan, and like Arpachel is like not real, and like, you know what I mean? And like, we went to this other country, and then like they'd be talking about Paris, but it's not fucking Paris. Well, okay, France, but you know what I mean? Like, they'd go to like other cities and countries and places, and they'd be like, You'd be like, okay, that's supposed to be fucking England, or that's supposed to be France or Germany or whatever, and they'd be like, but not. You know what I mean? I figured that's where they were going, but I mean, that could just be like, anyway, who knows? The dream came naturally to me. I want to leave this country and travel the world one day, and then you got washed up on the shithole that is Arpachel. I wonder what awaits me beyond my travels. My wish would come to fruition much sooner than I expected. Okay, so he's living in, I guess, Japan, and now here. Okay. Hey. Hey, you hear me? Oh, you hear me? Get up, boy! As I lingered in a past memory, a loud voice awakened me to reality. Father, please, you don't have to yell. There's only us here. You do know you're in a daze, right? You're gonna be traveling for a long while. You sure you'll be able to handle it? You have that tendency of drifting off. Maybe it'd be better if I went instead. You know, the Drifter and I have that in common, though. They said, now the Drifter's like, you're drifting off, and they call me like, why are you spacing out? Well, duh! I'm applicably named the Drifter. Hello! He's called the Drifter. Why are you drifting off? Duh! That's what drifters do. That's what spaceys do. We space out. Duh! It's like people don't fucking get it. I'm sorry, but every single time they say that, like, are you spacing out? Why are you spacing out? Duh! Hello? Spacey? Hello? But, like, I just never thought a game, because, like, obviously they say that in your name could be, like, Clementine. Okay? So it's funny to me, because, like, you know, whatever. But this is the one time they've actually physically, literally made the joke themselves on purpose. There's no way you didn't know what you were doing, having the Drifter's father say a tendency of drifting off to a man that we refer to as the Drifter through fucking hours of gameplay. Who we're not even sure has a name and might not ever have a name and might just be called the Drifter, for God's sakes. I don't think we've ever I don't think he's ever been named. I don't know if they're going to give him one. So, like, hi, I can't believe you just made that joke yourselves. I'm proud of you. Come now, you have to be kidding. It was my dream to leave this country, you know. I admire and respect you, but I won't relinquish this opportunity to you. Dad, I'm probably the most fitting since I'm versed in the study of linguistics. That may be true, but... The ship's horn sounded as my worried father saw me off before I left my homeland of Japan. Okay, so we're not going with fake places. They're real places. Okay. Stored inside were our valuable tools of trade. I'd be heading out on this ship to go to the faraway countries of the West to offer our goods and services. A muscular man walked toward me as I reminded myself of my mission. It was the captain of the ship who'd be taking me to the lands overseas. So, what's he saying? He said to get ready since the ship will depart shortly. Huh. You know what he says? I can only make out select words that relate to our business. I chuckled hearing my father's reply as I reached down to grab what little I brought with me. What are you doing? No, but I'm just asking. What? Do you want snugs? Come here. Did you want snuggies with my hands? Is that what you were doing? I can't snugs if you're sitting on my shoulder. He had climbed all the way down into my lap and was like poking my hand. And it's like, what do you want? My hand was just sitting here. Come here. Come here. Do you want snugs? You want hand snugs? Come here, I'll hold you. You gotta come back down. I can't hold my hand up here because it'll get uncomfortable. But that's what you want. You want petties? I'll give you petties for a minute. Okay. Well, you're gonna bite me, though. Okay. Well, I should be going. Traveling west. Traveling to the Netherlands will take some time for sure. The Netherlands, also known in Japanese as Oranda? Okay. Which means I'll be out for a good while. Please take care of Mother while I'm gone. And he was never seen or heard from again. Yeah, leave her to me. After giving me his parting words, my father disembarked from the ship. Shortly afterward, the ship let out a roar that signaled it was ready to head out on the open sea. Safe travels! Don't just focus on work. Make sure you come home in one piece. Nope. Haha, never expect to hear that from a maritime merchant. Maritime merchant. In the Edo period of Japan, shipping companies owned cargo ships to transport goods. Many were also in the business of trade. Sorry, bird. Okay, there we go. I have to sometimes take my hand away from petting you. I waved my hand at my father, who stood at the wharf to see me off. My life-changing journey to the ends of the earth had begun. Well, yeah. Life-changing journey is that for shizzles. I'm sorry. My beloved homeland grew smaller with each passing moment. All right, I'm not petting you anymore. You're being mean. If you want snugs, you come down here, okay? Come here. As sad as it felt, I was filled with hope toward my unknown future when suddenly the captain came and... You want me to name the ship? It seemed the captain had taken a liking to me, probably because I was the only one who could speak his language. Hey, isn't that nice? You're very feisty. Is it because it's too dark? Is it too dark? If I heard him right, usually the person who built the ship gave it a name, but... So he couldn't read the name because of the sloppy penmanship. He wanted me to give the ship a name so that there was something he could call it, at least for this leg of the journey. I see. Well, if that's the case... I paused for a moment to think, are we gonna have to fucking name an actual fucking ship in this? I recalled two beautiful words that I read before that stood in my mind. Okay, hold on. I gotta turn on a light. I don't know if that's why he's getting fidgety. Is that better? Can you see better? Are you getting bitchy and mean because it's dark? Are you getting bitchy and mean because it was too dark? Because I know you don't need a potty break. It's been like 10 fucking minutes. What do you think about calling it Virche? You know what? That's it. We're done here. I'm out. See you later. Sounds of me walking, stomping away. Stomp, 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 stomp. No! We're done! We're done here. No, seriously? Seriously? I combined two words from France. One's virtuel and the other arche. Virtuarche. France, a country beyond the ocean. Virtuel and arche? It seemed he liked my idea. The captain patted me hard on the shoulder. It fucking figures. They just threw that... Like, now you're just being assholes. Listen, tell the don't be... You have a tendency of drifting off there, drifter. Haha, very funny. How about we call the ship Virche? You stop that. Although, that could explain technically how they ended up calling it the Error Virche or whatever, because they knew this was the ship. If there was a piece of wood or somehow knew that was the name of the ship that the drifter arrived on. I don't know. Virche! He looked up at the mast and raised his voice high into the air to declare the ship's new name. I've been blessed with people ever since I left shore. At this rate, I'm sure this journey will be filled with many more joyful encounters. Well... However, this was the last conversation that I could remember. Beyond that, I could only remember a pitch-black ocean with dark clouds and thunderclaps. The very environment laid siege against us as prey. The sound effect for that rainstorm was like clap, thunder, and then it stopped, and I was like, okay. I awoke to the sound of rolling waves, much different than what I recalled in memory. Pain surged as I somehow stood, my heavy clothes sagging from seawater. Next to me were a small portion of my tools that I had wrapped in a cloth bag. Where am I? At the very least, I knew right away that this wasn't the Netherlands. Making matters worse was that I couldn't recall clearly how I got here. No. I remember now. If I wasn't mistaken, a storm hit us just as we entered western waters. The strong winds pushed us toward a certain expanse. Those who lived in western countries knew these as deadly waters and avoided them. Deadly waters, a common term for the ocean that surrounds Arpachel. Many ships have met their demise here and now lie sunken at the bottom of the ocean. Well, that sounds like a fun way to treasure hunt. Let's go. Come on, guys. I quickly looked around me as my memory cleared. Where's the captain? It can't be... I'm the only one who survived? Everyone sank with the ship. Well, the captain's supposed to go down with the ship. Down to the depths of the dark ocean. That's kind of terrifying. Never to be heard, seen or heard from again, and never to be found. Because no one will go ship diving for them. I mean, okay, like, you know where certain wreckages are and stuff like that, but there are so many ships that are just never found again. And think of, wasn't there a plane that just, what was that plane that just fucking disappeared? It was like, poof, gone. What the, you just, even in modern day, they're just like, we don't know, it's just gone. What? That's horrifying. Also, you don't know what the fuck is under the water, okay? The ocean is, listen. The ocean is a terrifying fucking thing. It is horrifying. No. Scary. Don't think so. Like, let's go to the beach and swim in the water. What? You can't see what's in there. The ocean is only slightly less horrifying than outer space. But I have a weird fascination with outer space and all of its weird fucking shit that you were like, it's just crazy. You're like, there could be a black hole just sneaking up behind you and you'd never fucking know. You're just gone. Excuse me? What the fuck? That's terrifying. Just a meteor that comes and you're like, oh shit. And you're like, oh, there it is. There it goes. Never mind. And you don't know this shit. Like, what? But like, the ocean has an end and a beginning and it stops at some point. There's a finiteness to it. Unlike space, which is just fucking never ending. And that's just hard to wrap your brain around. And it hurts every time you think about it. And it gets kind of terrifying. You're like, you don't know what's out there. There could be giant space squid. Or in the case of Star Trek, space jellyfish. You know, we've seen it. Okay. We all saw that episode. If you watch Next Gen, you saw it. Okay. But like the ocean for like what's on land is terrifying. Also caves. Why do people go spelunking in caves? And they're like, let me climb in this tiny little crevice and then get stuck and die. And then I'm just there forever. What? No, why? No. Nope. And like in the ocean, like it's cool when you go to an aquarium and you're like, oh, this looks neat and everything. Or like being in the little tubes where you're like, oh, and the water's all around you. Sure, fine. But like, because like if that collapses and you drown, whatever, it's like an aquarium, right? Or like a hotel with a cool fucking water feature. It's not the ocean where you don't know what the fuck is in there. You can't see. Like, nuh-uh. I'll go on a beach where like, okay, I can see because it's crystal clear. Like Florida where you're like, I can like fucking go waist deep and I can see everything. I can see my feet. You just have to do the stingray shuffle, okay? Because you don't know those fuckers are hiding under the sand. You just have to shuffle so they go flying away and you don't step on them. Okay, that's it. But you can see what is around you. Okay, you can see that that is there's fish, whatever. But like, otherwise, other oceans, seas, beaches you get in and you don't know what's touching you. Is it seaweed? Is it a tentacle monster? Is it somebody's toilet paper? You don't know. You don't know. You don't know. And nope. Scary. Horrifying. The fact that there are trenches and things so deep in the ocean, they're like, we don't fucking know what's in there. Like, you go to, and the fact that, like, when tsunamis and shit happens, they're like, what the fuck is this? And then there's just monsters washing up on shore, and they're like, huh? Shit because there's so much fucking shit in there that you don't even, nope. Like, no. No, I don't understand, no. The beach is nice to look at, but I don't want to live. Also, I'm sorry, I don't want to live on it because then one minute you're looking and you're like, why is all of a sudden the water just, and then you just drown because here comes a giant fucking wave and you're like, fucked. Nope. Not doing that. None of that shit. Like, actually, what fucking tunnel is it? Is it in Maryland? Is it in Maryland? Or Delaware or somewhere? Where the fuck is it? Where it's like I forget what fucking tunnel it is, but it's basically like underwater. Obviously an underwater tunnel. Okay, duh, that's why it's a tunnel. But it's so deep under because that's where all the naval ships go in and out to port, right? So like, but when you come up, it is probably the most horrifying thing in existence because most of the time you're driving under, you're like, okay, we're under the water, we're in a tunnel. Okay, but this is one where you come up over kind of like a hill and then you just see the ground, like the road go into nothing. and then you can just see this giant fucking expanse. It looks like the motherfucking ocean because it's huge, and then you can see the giant carrier ships and shit going across it, and you were like, we are going under all of that shit. And it's not like, because most of the time you don't see the water coming. It's just it's kind of cool, but also kind of terrifying because it's just that point where you were like on this rise and you were like, we are about to go under all that motherfucker, and you can just see the ground, like you see the road just disappear into it, and you're like, what the fuck? So like, I'm sorry when they joke about like a tunnel from America to the UK. Who the fuck would ever? No, you're crazy. No, no, monorail, fine. But then what if that fucking falls off into the ocean? Nope. I've been on a cruise once, and I don't know why the fuck I did that, because, like, that's the last place you want to be. Nuh-uh. A boat goes down, and it's going to be like Titanic, and you're going to be drowning, and it's going to be cold and awful. A plane crashes, and you're just dead, okay? Hopefully. Hopefully instantly, but a ship? They ain't going to die that fast. I don't... Okay. Listen. I also clearly died in a fire in a past life because I'm traumatized by shit like that too, okay? Like, I sit there and I can't watch the videos of LA. Like, that's so sad. All those fucking people and all those things. Oh my God. That's so fucking sad. And it's so horrifying because it's like, nope. That is something that I constantly I will keep myself up at night thinking of that. Like, oh my God, what do I do? What if something happens? Oh my God. Because that's a real fucking, can just happen anytime, anywhere. And that's horrifying. Okay? And then, like, whole states and countries just on no, I don't like that. That's terrifying. I'm not sure. I think I'd rather drown. I think I'd rather be on a boat and have it sink, to be fair. Because, you know what? I don't know what. But I need to go drink now, because now we've talked about everything that scares me. That's not everything. But, God, that's a lot of stuff. Okay? Oh, God. I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight because I'm going to be thinking of all and I'm going to be like, oh my God, my house is going to catch on fire. And then, oh my God, what am I going to do? And like, what happens? And how do I get the bird out? And then, oh my God. And I'm like, whatever. And then I'm going to like go outside and then I'm just going to drown. Like, seriously? I've given myself, have I given you all nightmares now? But anyway. The truth was hard to bear, but I couldn't let sorrow take me now. I would let it happen. I would just be like, nope. It was the sole survivor. But what continent did I drift ashore to? Oh, probably the worst one. See, actually, in this case, maybe drowning would have been better, buddy. I looked behind me to assess the situation when... Honko? A black fragment blew past the tip of my nose. Is this ash? No. A black petal? Mesmerized by the mysterious color, I slowly headed in the direction of the wind. What was spread out before me was a field of black higanbana in full bloom. The impossible color stunned me. It seemed I was completely trapped in a country without a name. So I'm not sure who Kind Man is. You there, what's happened? You look hurt, are you all right? I stood in awe for an hour before a man and a woman found me, still drenched in seawater. The woman was likely pregnant based on the size of her belly. Is that our parents? It can't be. Because... the Drifter is Eve's, like, grandfather, right? Or great-grandfather, or great-great-grandfather. He's, like, really old, so no, this is nobody we know. Well, it's somebody we know's ancestors, basically, probably. I was dumbfounded as I initially wasn't sure what they were saying, but... Your accent... Is this place somewhere near France? Fortunately, I had nearly perfected my French studies and could manage to communicate with them, albeit in a fragmented way. So apparently we speak French here. Interesting! Okay. Were we supposed to figure that out by Arpachel? Because, like, I don't fucking know. Worried that I would catch a cold, the couple invited me to stay at their residence, located on the outskirts of town. Whose house did this end up being? Wait, wasn't. Hmm. Or was this just the house that we hid at? Where every time we were like, oh, we hide in this house. This is the house we hid at. 3 days passed. At first, I was having trouble talking to them, but slowly I absorbed their language based on my knowledge of the French language, and soon I was able to speak the very basics. So finally, is this supposed to be Hughes? I've never seen Hughes with Gues. Hmm. Or there's supposed to be something out, like some other fancy way you're supposed to pronounce that. But I'm going to go with Hughes because I don't know how to pronounce that. It's like awkwardly spelled. But anyway. Oh, okay. This is the man. Okay. I make my living raising cattle here on the outskirts. I'm his wife, Natalia. So tell me, what in the world were you doing out on the shore? Well, after giving them my name, I told them everything that happened during my journey. That was quite the ordeal. I suppose you were lucky enough to at least survive. I think you're the first person here to actually come from another country. If the others found out, I'm sure they'd be shocked and pay you a visit every day. What? I was the first visitor to this country? From the sound of it, it seemed like this country is isolated from the other countries, just like my homeland. Well, yes, but the bigger reason no one comes here is because of the deadly sea. Rumor has it that the ships coming near this island find their way to the bottom. Island? So this isn't the Western continent? I know I should have asked this earlier, but what's the name of this country? This place is called Arpachel. It's a small country surrounded by black lycorises that stay in bloom throughout the year. Welcome to Arpachel, our dear guest from overseas. You're free to stay and make yourself comfortable until you find a way to return. The two spoke and told me what I wanted to know with very friendly smiles. They're not like, get out, you're gonna die! They served me a dinner of braised and stewed vegetables, bringing out the best of their flavor. And the inside of my cloth bag was somehow safe. In particular, the 4 books I brought with me could be dried and read again. They lent me a blanket so that I could go to sleep, but unable to fall asleep, I slowly stepped outside so I wouldn't wake them up. Arpachel, a country that's surrounded by black lycorises. Never heard of such a place. No, I think I heard the name from some of the guests on board the ship. Or at least I thought so, but I couldn't remember the details. I do know this place is isolated, though. It makes me wonder if I can get back home. To think I was planning on repaying my parents for raising me to who I am now. I shook my head in effort to erase the horrible future that flashed across my mind. Dying in a country that I don't know before I can find a way to return is simply pathetic. I need to find a way to get out of this place. But in order to do so, I needed to gather information so I could learn more about this country. And the next day, after explaining my thoughts to my hosts, they took me to the very notable black field of lycorises. So these really are Higanbana flowers. They're found mainly on the eastern lands, so why here? I doubt anyone can answer that. After all, the lycorises have been here for hundreds of years. I doubt there's anyone alive who knows where exactly they came from. Assuming they somehow bloomed in this country out of sheer coincidence. Which is interesting because didn't they always act like the drifter was the one who brought the flowers or whatever? But it was really kind of Onko then, probably. Or they were just always here. Huh, I don't know. Now I'm very confused as to. I'm like, am I misremembering what they told us in the original game? Or did, like, Onko going back in time kind of change things? I don't know. Anyway, why are the flowers black? I had a few Higanbana bulbs among the products that I brought with me, but These should bloom in red or white. Even if a new color is discovered, it's highly unlikely that the color black would develop naturally. I thought about it based on my past experience and the knowledge I had of them. Well, that won't help get me home. I should look into this country's ships and communication methods. You really are studious. I never once wondered why the Lycorises grow here. Oh, are you all right, Monsieur Hughes? The wind's rather cold, so you might have caught a chill. Thank you for showing me around, but I think it's best we do what's needed now. I accompanied them on their shopping as the bag carrier. I seemed to be attracting a lot of attention, probably from what I was wearing. Even so, the couple continued arm in arm through the streets without a care in the world. As a rule of thumb, come shop here to find what you need. Mind you, the vegetables they sell here aren't very tasty. I see. The meal they served was standard here, but they knew that it didn't taste very good. And here I was rude to think they were simply poor. Perhaps the country's isolation has stunted their progress in relation to agriculture and cuisine. Well, I would also think raising plants in soil that's all toxic and disgusting from whatever, So that could also be the progress because you're breeding more lycorises, planting more, they're going to suck out more of the soil. You know what I mean? And so then the vegetables would taste better because, whatever. But that's, the soil's got toxins in it. So, it makes sense that the vegetables would kind of taste like shit. If so, then I highly doubt they have the proper technology to build ships to travel the seas. I quietly hid my disappointment so I wouldn't worry the two. They're like, so do you have ships? They're like, a what now? I mean, they know what ships are. Look, there's a boat. Take that. I continued to follow them as they made their way through town. Here's the funny thing. Oh, the depth waters and blah, blah, blah. But is the churning evil seas because of the toxins too? Because I never explained that then. They're throwing it in here now, and maybe they mentioned it earlier in the first game, like no one can get here because of the turbulent seas outside or whatever. Okay? Okay. But how the fuck did even Hugo get on a ship and get off the island? How did Adolphe and I get on a ship and get off the island for a week? How did any of that happen if the water around the island is like turbulent, crazy seas? You know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't just magically fix itself. The ocean isn't like, okay, you got rid of the toxins. Okay, calm waters. You know what I mean? That's not how the fucking shit works. See, the sea is a scary fucking bitch. So, you know? So, unless you're trying to tell me, well, all of the toxins leaching into the sea made the water angry. Okay, that would be better than not explaining that. Because they keep bringing up the dangerous seas around the island, And so I can't get off. They probably don't have ships because even if they did, the dangerous seas around the island. So then how the fuck, once we found the cure and everybody's fine, how the fuck in Adolphe's endings was anybody able to get off the motherfucking island? How? And then get back? How? How? You gonna explain that? Because I don't think they did. Or maybe I just forgot. So, valid. I probably forgot. But if they explained it, someone tell me. Someone remind me. I continued to follow them as they made their way through town. At first, my curiosity toward their shopping inspired joy, but... something didn't feel right. I felt like there was something missing through the streets as I traveled. Old people? The town and its people were peaceful. There was nothing wrong with this very normal situation. Or so I thought. Ah, I see. I realized what wasn't feeling right. There was something missing from the scenery. There's no one elderly around. Everyone I've seen here is young. It stood out more since my homeland had a very large share of the elderly. The person manning the shop, the person taking a stroll, the person watching the kids. Every one of them was young, and it made the scene all the more peculiar. Perhaps they have the area segregated by age. What's the matter? Did you find something interesting? Well, I was just observing how the cultures and way of life could be so different between countries. By the way, may I ask where your parents live? I'd like to introduce myself as a guest of your family. My parents passed away many years ago already. I see. I'm quite sorry to have asked such a to ask. I'm quite sorry to have asked such a question. I bowed in apologetic silence. The two looked at each other and tilted their heads in bewilderment. They must be going through a lot to have lost their parents by this age. I should do what I can to help. I want to repay them for their kindness before I find a way back home. Seeing as how they spoke of it without any sorrow, they must have already accepted the deaths of their parents. That's when you should know something's wrong, because even when you can accept 90% of the time, because that's just the life you have to live, when people ask you, like, oh, you feel sad when you think about it. See, now you make me feel sad because I'm thinking about how my dad's dead. Thanks a lot, game. Rude. You traumatized me with, like, the ocean, and now you're traumatizing me. Wow! Who thought the drifter route was going to be more of the trauma train? But you know what I mean? Like them being like, oh yeah, our parents are dead. Whatevs. Not caring, that should tell you something's wrong. Or that their parents were douche canoes. Because most people, even though you've accepted it, because, hi, you have no choice but to, doesn't mean that, like, if someone brings it up, you're not like, oh yeah, no, it's been a while, but it still feels sad. You know what I mean? Little did I know that I would find out that my assumption could be so wrong. I only found out 2 months later. It doesn't seem plausible that I alone could build a ship to traverse the deadly seas. I let out a deep sigh as I looked at the blueprint I made and the waters extending to the horizon. It had been 2 months since I drifted here. I kept to myself and stayed in the couple's company so that I wouldn't stand out. I continued my search for a way to leave as I helped with Monsieur Hughes's work, but none seemed feasible, and I only saw failure in each future. At this rate, I should forget about escape and think of a way to communicate with the outside world. Perhaps I can simply toss a bottle with a letter into the ocean. I was literally just thinking of it. When he's like, I communicate with the outside world, I'm like, we better chuck that bottle in the ocean because I think that's the only way to go, but it's just going to swirl around here. I chuckled at the idea of leaving it to luck. Just if I have to live here forever without any means of escape, what will happen to me? There's no place here for me as the only person from the outside world. This was no good. My mind kept thinking of things in a bad light. Oh, there you are. Madame Natalia. She was walking toward me slowly with a belly slightly larger than before. I didn't see her husband next to her. What's the matter? I thought you said you'd spend some time today inside with Monsieur Hughes. Well, things have changed a bit. Madame Natalia rubbed her belly, which was nurturing life. You see, Hughes just coughed up blood and collapsed. I came out here to find you so you could help me keep watch over him. What? He coughed up blood? Those words usually meant one thing. This is no time for us to be chatting so idly, especially when he's in danger. We need to hurry back. We may even need to call for a doctor. Huh? Why are you in such a rush? I tugged on the confused Madame Natalia's hand with care so that we could make our way back. I thought she was going to come out, oh, Hughes died. They're taking it nonchalantly because, yeah, he's going to die. You know, upon our return, I hurriedly opened the door. On the bed was the man to whom I owed a great debt, coughing up blood. Monsieur Hughes! I quickly checked his temperature and pulse. His temperature was alarmingly high, but his pulse was extremely weak. What? Must be Natalia. She called you back. I didn't want to worry you as our guest of honor. Don't talk. Just stay still. I'll get the doctor. We appreciate the thought, but we don't have the money to bring a doctor here. Too bad. It's not like bringing a doctor will change anything. We won't know unless we try. I quickly went and got my belongings, which were stowed away in the corner of the room. I hadn't looked at them for a while as I tried to get used to life here, but I quickly looked through my belongings in the hope there was something inside to help with the situation. But nothing. I was sure I had a stock of medicine for sale, but they must have sunk back with all my other wares. As I continued my search, Monsieur Hughes's breathing grew weaker by the moment. His condition was so bad that even someone without medical knowledge could tell there was not much that could be done. Now that I thought about it, he'd been coughing quite frequently ever since we met. I simply thought it was a nagging cold, but... Why hadn't I noticed sooner? I should have realized that he was terminally ill. I went back to him sleeping on the bed and held his hand. Are you all right? What's all the commotion? I'm sorry. I can't even give you proper treatment and don't have any medicines despite being a merchant. To think you've showered me with kindness all this time. Seeing me full of regret, he slowly looked up as the light began fading from his eyes. I'm so happy to see you so worried for him despite knowing him only recently. But this is just a fate we can't avoid. Fate? Blood rose to my head hearing the word. The couple sounded so accepting of death, so I... Forget fate! He's suffering! He's too young to die! I spat out my frustration as if spitting out blood. Which is what Hughes is doing. I knew I was just venting. Me being angry wasn't going to change the outcome for Monsieur Hughes, or whatever his name is. But if he died, what would happen to Madame Natalia and their unborn child? Come now, what are you saying? He actually lived much longer than the others. That sounds like a serial killer. I know what she's getting at. He lived much longer than the others. I kill all my husbands with poison. I'm just saying, that seriously sounds like a woman who's killing her husbands, okay? After all, he almost lived a full 23 years. Huh? What did she just say? 23? The number she said was too small, but he lived much longer? I had no idea why she said it. Was she confused by her beloved's impending death? As I tried to rationalize the situation, I looked at Monsieur Hughes. You're right. I guess I was a lot hardier than the others. He was taking the number quite positively. Cold sweat beaded upon my skin. I'd be like, what do you mean by that? The many oddities I had noticed the whole time here were making sense now. They were slowly gathering together, culminating into something much clearer. My heart suddenly beat so hard that I thought it was going to break. I dashed outside as quickly as possible. Yeah, that's true. Okay. I'm wondering, they've got to be somehow related to the Natalia and or somebody's grandparents or whatever, because, right, the Drifter meets Cyan's grandfather and gives him the book. The genetics book or whatever, the science book, right? So, but Cyan is the one that creates drifter technology. Yeah, okay. That creates the reliver technology, and then he's like fucking a grandpa by the time we're hanging around being like 18 to 20. I think we're like 18. Because he's already like fucking 80 or some shit. Like, so... Theoretically, Eve's grandfather, because wasn't he talking to my grandfather's on his death, but is like Cyan's age. It's really confusing. I really need like a timeline I can just pop in and be like Drifter, Cyan's grandpa, Cyan, Eve's parent, blah, blah, blah. And I just need to see like everybody, to just see the timeline because it's very confusing. I dashed outside as quickly as possible. With the screaming behind me, I made a mad dash toward an area crowded with people. The town was bustling with people like usual. Everyone was living life in peace. But this world... This world was filled entirely with the young. This was no different, even around the areas I had avoided thus far. I couldn't find a single person here who was my age or older. In addition, guess I'm gonna die in half a year or so. Best I get myself ready. Me too. I don't have any kids, but I still have to think of my assets. Oh my, I haven't seen the person who I had a stall here recently. Wasn't he just here a while ago? He actually died 2 days ago. He was pretty old at 22, you know. This game is so fucking ridiculous. Okay, I'm sorry that I had to read that and make you feel bad for yourselves. Like, seriously? He was pretty old at 22, you know? Like, oh my god. Like, this is just a trigger back to Adolphe, like 25. That old? Oh my god! Oh, like we know, but I swear to God, the game really likes fucking with us like this, and it's so funny. Oh, I've been dead 100 times over. Their conversations were abnormal. Unlike what I thought before, this country wasn't separated into areas by age, but rather... Hey, what's the matter? Why are you out of bed? He was pretty worried seeing you jump out like this. Well, sure, Hughes and Madame Natalia caught up to me from behind. I could tell they were worried enough to come after me despite his physical ailment, but... Let me ask you something. Why are you and everyone else... Why is everyone so calm and accepting of death? I simply couldn't hold back from asking this question. I mean, you get that way when you're like, maybe in your 80s, because you're like, okay, I could, maybe I'm going to live to my 90s, maybe I'll be 100, but like you start getting there and you're like, okay, I'm getting there. Going to be accepting of death, it's around the corner, but not when you're like 21, where you're like, whoop! Yay, I can finally drink, which is good, because I'm going to die any minute. You know what I mean? Like, that's not... My question must have taken them by surprise as they both looked at each other. Then, to be fair, in this world, it's like by the time you're about 7, get out and get a job! Jesus! You're just mooching off the system now, you lazy bum! What? You think you're gonna live to like 80? You're gonna die in like 10 years! Like, you're gonna have like a fucking midlife crisis by the time you're 11. Seriously! 10-year-olds out there like at the liquor store like, oh god, my whole life is just, I was like, oh, like, what the fuck? Like, can you imagine? Jeez. Could you imagine having a midlife crisis at like 10 or 11? I mean, I seriously think it's funny that there are people having a crisis at 25. But then this game comes along and is like, oh my god, he was like really old. He was like 22. And you're like, oh, this game doesn't make it any better for you if you're having a crisis at 25, but like, shit, you could have a crisis at 11 now? Damn. I'm just saying, like, I realize that I should not be having an existential crisis about my age either, because like, it's only going to get worse. Like, it's not going to get any better. It's not like I'm going to wake up younger tomorrow. I'm not going to age in reverse, so... Yeah, I don't usually, because sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm really old. Oh, because I don't think or act my age at all, so fair enough. I'd like to pretend I don't look my age, but I'm pretty sure I fucking do, and that's depressing. My question must have taken them by surprise. Okay, yeah. Isn't it obvious? It's because we can only live for so long. There's no one in this world who can live longer than 23 years old. The horrible truth was finally revealed. He's like, I'm 37. He said there's nobody his age. How old is the Drifter? Actually, the possibility dawned on me, but I didn't want to hear it. The answer was more far-fetched than even a fairy tale. My heartbeat was slowly chipping away at my calm. It was because they discussed this unreasonable concept as if it were the norm. To an extent, I was starting to feel like perhaps I was wrong, but... What are you two talking about? I couldn't stay silent. Humans are able to live much longer than 23 years. 60, even 70 years old is the norm. In fact, there are many who live beyond 100 years. And see, this was a while ago. 60, 70 was old. And now it's like, now most people live in 80s and 90s. That's getting too old and things start falling apart though. So like my sister wants to be like 100 and I was like, I know. I'm like maybe in my 80s. I'm not sure if I even want to live into my 90s. We'll see. Cuz like right now the way things hurt now, I'm like I can't even imagine being like in my 90s and 99. Like, I'm not going to be like Dick Van Dyke out there like looking I'm not going to be like Betty White out there like where we were like she could be 150 and then she was like peace. And like I think she chose. She was like, "You know what? Peace." Because there was really nothing wrong with that woman. Because I'm pretty sure when the Grim Reaper showed up, she could have fist fought him and survived another 20 fucking years if she wanted to. All I'm saying, I'm not going to be that sprightly at 99 years old. I'm not that sprightly now. Okay? And I'm less than half that age. So, you know? Wait. Yeah. Like, wait. Okay, yeah. I'm not 50. Jesus. Seriously? By the time I hit 50, I'm probably going to need a couple hip replacements. You know? Maybe a hip replacement for the hip replacement. I'm just saying. I don't know. I don't think I want to live to be 100. Jesus. Like, I mean, if I was in like great health, sure, but like, I just don't think that's going to be the case. I'm just saying. I do not have, okay, my grandfather on my mom's side, like, fucking, like, surprised he didn't make 100, honestly. Like, you know, because it was like, he was, I think if my grandmother had lived longer, he would have lived longer. It was like when she went, he kind of started going. You know what I mean? But like, he had the best fucking health. Like, when he would go in, like, people thought he was in his 70s and he was in his 90s. I'm just saying, that is not going to be any of us. Even all of his children, my mom and my aunt and my uncle are all like falling apart. And it's like, say that just, unless it skips a generation, like none of us are going to be in that good of a shape. So I'm just saying, like, we all going to start falling apart. I'm just fat. So that's my problem. So, you know, we try to be better and eat healthier. My body's like, no, we must be a starving peasant. So we have to maintain our weight. Like, it doesn't. Like, okay, thanks, metabolism and age. It's like, nah. Like, bastard. Anyway, not the point. But, yeah, I don't think I want to live to be 100, okay? But, anyway. But, like, 70 might be a little too young to go. I'm just saying. In fact, I'm 25 myself. Okay, now we know how old he is. I just revealed to the people of this country the horrible truth. Suddenly, the sound around me vanished. If only I could take it back, but it was too late. Oh, that's creepy! The people began to stare. The attention of the people who were spending their lives as usual quickly focused upon me. 25? It's normal for humans to live many decades? Wait, but then, if we die at 23, then what are we? And if you seriously can live past our age, then what exactly are you? I wanted to make my escape from the madness and the finger pointing, but before I could react, a certain someone I knew grabbed my shoulders. You're kidding me! It was by the hands of my savior who was about to reach the age of 23. I thought this was normal for us, so I was ready to accept my death. But that's wrong. Why would you say that to me when I'm about to die of all times? In front of me was an expression the polar opposite of despair. I could have accepted my death in peace if you didn't say that. Madame Natalia was pale as she stood next to her husband, holding my shoulders. In just a few words, I had suddenly changed the meaning of death in this country. What had been acceptance now changed to fear. Monsieur Hughes... He shook me by the shoulders as he continued to cough up blood. Well, the fact is, you aren't going to live past 23, so... I don't want to die! I don't want to die! I don't want to die! If life is meant to be long, then I want to live longer than this! Please, you have to tell me how I can live as long as you! Please, we're friends, aren't we? I want to see my child grow and live life as it was meant to be. Please. 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 There's a lot of pleases. Okay, keeps going. The more desperate he became for life, the more blood spilled from his mouth. As his lifespan reached its end, he lost the last of his remaining sanity until... Please, save me. I don't want to leave Natalia alone. He grabbed onto me as blood spilled from his mouth and eyes before he took his last breath. Monsieur Hughes's body slowly crumpled to the ground. Madame Natalia simply looked on in a stupor. My savior died. He died from the despair I caused him. I don't want to die! I don't want to die! Why do we need to live shorter lives than others? Why do we have to die so young? Guilt forced me to move, hearing the countless murmurs about. I quickly fled the scene with all my might. Good job! God, just drifting here and saying shit. I returned to their house to quickly gather my belongings. Without thinking about where I would be going, I left the house filled with memories of the husband and wife. At least he remembered to pick up his books. For a while, I settled into a life of hiding in the depths of the alleys where no one visited. Meanwhile, word spread throughout Arpachel regarding the true lifespans of humans. Following the guidance of those in power, people began attributing their short lives to death's curse. All I could do was witness everything unfold from a distance. You started all this! The fact that the eerily beautiful Lycoris flowers caused death to those who touched them led to their being known as the flowers of misfortune. It's all my fault. This would never have happened if I didn't reveal the truth. Hiding myself could only go so far, as my sense of guilt never went away. Eventually, I was captured by the country's soldiers who had learned about the commotion. Took them long enough. Useless-ass royal guards. They led me to the country's center of power, the castle's audience room. I expected to be jailed as punishment for causing public chaos, but it was then that they began to call me the Drifter. I would be introduced to the country's most brilliant scientist, Science Grandpa. I like Brophy's family scientist. I wish we had sprites for these people. They made one for the Drifter, but we're never going to see him, which is kind of unfortunate. You made him because you show him in the opening credits, but we're never going to get to see him? Like, And I'm guessing there's no CGs. Well, maybe. Maybe like one at the end or something. But I want the technology and power to save the people. The one known as Brophy asked me for help. I'm sorry, Brophy was? Still funny. I was moved by how he wasn't led adrift by the rumors and expressed a strong desire to save the people, so I see. Then let me share with you this book that details the mysteries of life. A book on genetics that came from a place more advanced than my own homeland. Please save the people of this land with the knowledge I've shared with you. I was planning on giving him the other books I carried, which contain a vast array of knowledge, but no matter how much I argued he should expand his knowledge outside the field of medicine, he simply wanted nothing to do with it, due to his country's shared desire to be released from the curse of death. I then gave the book of translations to a family fascinated by the written word, who expressed a love for literature. I sold The Way of Martial Arts to a family born with tremendous strength, as a way to help them harness their powers. So we know that was Mathis's family, and then this is Lucas's family. Botany was the last book, which I decided to keep because of my lifelong interest in growing flowers, which we know stays with Eve's family, which is the Drifter's family. And then explained in detail the existence of people, technology, and elders outside of here. Elderly people. All right. So we're going to wrap up here. So, I mean, this is going to go on for a little while, and yeah, there's actually, okay, there is a CG. Oh, hey, look, they tell you the Drifter's name. I'm not going to tell you, though. Spoiled that for me. Yeah, there are choices, and there's a CG at the end, at least, but we haven't gotten to any of the choices, so yeah. I'm assuming we'll have at least another hour, if not more. So I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.